Everybody. So I'm glad that we're gathered here today in our book club. You, as a book club, chose American history as your history and literature group. So what we read last week was Who is Babe Ruth by Joan Hulub. So let's talk about first, who was Babe Ruth? Does anybody remember some stuff? Right, his official number was number 3. Does anybody remember the other 3 names he went by? Okay, the Great Bambino, the Sultan of Swat, and the Colossus of Cloud. Very good. And was he a right-handed or left-handed batter? That's right, he was left-handed. Sorry. So today we are going to talk about another book that includes Babe Ruth, and this is called The Girl Who Struck Out Babe Ruth by Joan L.S. Patrick. And this book is a true story, just like Who Was Babe Ruth, and it talks about a young girl who wanted to play baseball and became the only female pitcher to ever be known to strike out Babe Ruth. So, let's start this story. March 28, 1931, Chattanooga, Tennessee. Jackie Mitchell loved baseball. She dreamed of becoming a great pitcher, but 17-year-old Jackie was not on the pitcher's mound. She wasn't even at a ballpark. She was sitting in a radio station wearing a dress. In front of her was a contract. If she signed it, she would play for the Chattanooga Lookouts. She would belong to a men's minor league baseball team. The room grew quiet, and Jackie picked up the pen. Boldly, she signed her name. Fans cheered, cameras flashed. Mr. Joe Ingles shook her hand. He was the president of the Lookouts. Next, manager Bert Niehoff spoke. He promised to help Jackie become a pitcher in the major leagues. Jackie and her father smiled, but Jackie wasn't thinking about the major leagues. She was thinking about next week. The Lookouts would play the New York Yankees in a preseason game. On Wednesday, April 1st, Jackie would face the greatest home run hitter in the world, Babe Ruth. She wanted to strike him out. News about Jackie spread across the country. Big city newspaper and film crews planned to cover the game, but some people wondered about Wednesday's game. Maybe Jackie was part of a stunt to bring people to the ballpark. After all, could a girl really pitch against Babe Ruth? Now let's stop. I want to see thumbs up for those of you who think that Jackie could do it, and thumbs down for those who thought she couldn't do it. All right, we're about even. Okay, good. Let's move on to the next page. She knew she could pitch against Babe Ruth. Even the newspapers said so. She could put speed on the ball. She had control. And somehow she could always guess a batter's weakness. Jackie popped a stick of gum into her mouth. She pretended to wind up for a pitch. Strike. On Tuesday night, Jackie went to bed early. Her uniform hung in the closet. Ever since she was a young girl, she had dreamed of becoming a great pitcher. Tomorrow was her chance to answer that dream. On Wednesday, rain poured from the sky. The game was canceled. Jackie was sure she would get to pitch the next day, but what if it rained again? She'd miss her chance to pitch against the Yankees. So how do you think you would feel if it rained on a very special day for you? Right, very upset, very sad, very not good, right. So how do you think Jackie was feeling with the thought of rain interrupting her big day? Yeah, she probably felt nervous or scared. Exactly. On Thursday, April 2nd, the rain stopped. Sunbeams as straight as fastballs streamed through the crowds. Okay, let's stop and talk about this. As straight as fastballs. Sunbeams as straight as fastballs. This is called does anybody remember? A metaphor, that's right. And a metaphor is what? Exactly, when something is being likened to something, but it's not exactly that. Exactly. The cool air smelled of peach blossoms. Jackie and her parents drove downtown to 3rd Street to Ingles Stadium. The Lookouts would not have an easy game. The Yankees' new manager wanted to score as many runs as possible. He wanted the Yankees to win each time they played. Jackie and her father watched the Yankees warm up. Lynn Larry played shortstop. Tony Lazzeri fielded grounders at second. Lou Gehrig covered first base. Babe Ruth stepped out on the plate for batting practice. Jackie watched him closely. He lifted his bat, twisted his body, and swung. Either he'd blast that ball far into outfield or he would miss that ball completely. Jackie wondered aloud, "How should she pitch to the Yankees?" Her father answered, "Go out there and pitch just like you pitch to anyone else." Jackie nodded. Where could she warm up? She spotted Eddie Kenna, the Lookouts catcher. Together they trotted to an open space. Let's talk about this word trotted. Trotted. What do you think trotted mean? What do you think of whenever you think of trotted? Like a horse. Good. Yeah, so it wasn't a fast run, but they weren't walking. They were just kind of hopping, skipping a little slower than running. Exactly. All right, let's continue. Jackie shoved her glove onto her right hand and gripped the ball with her left. First the windup. She wound her left arm backwards in an enormous circle. Then the pitch. She sidearmed the ball to the plate. Thud! Again and again, the ball landed in Eddie's glove. Jackie had a mean drop pitch. When the ball reached home plate, it took a nasty dip, and when her drop pitch was working, no batter could touch it. But today she struggled. The cool, damp air made the ball hard to control. Why do you think the cool, damp air made the ball hard to control? Right, it made the ball slick and it would slip out of her hand. She wasn't able to get a grip on it. That's right, good job. Jackie! A man in a long coat called her name. It was Mr. Engel. The two towering Yankees walked beside him. A flock of reporters followed behind. The group stopped. Jackie recognized Babe Ruth. He leaned on his bat as if it were a cane. Lou Gehrig stood at his side. "Jackie," said Mr. Engel, "meet Mr. Ruth." Jackie shook his hand, but Babe Ruth looked away. Then he looked at Mr. Engel. When he finally looked at Jackie, he dropped her hand. What do you think that means? Let's infer about what do you think that means. He didn't look at her. He shook her hand, but just kind of barely. Yeah, he didn't like that a woman was pitching. That's right. "Jackie," said Mr. Engel, pointing, "meet Mr. Gehrig." Lou Gehrig smiled at her. He took off his cap. He bowed slightly and shook her hand. His grip was as strong as iron. As strong as iron. His grip was as strong as iron. What does this mean? Again, a metaphor. Good job, guys. Good job. Jackie posed with the two Yankees for photographs, but Babe Ruth didn't smile very much. She had heard that Babe Ruth didn't want women playing professional baseball. "Too delicate," he said. "They'll never make good." Jackie punched her glove. She had to make good. What do you think making good means? Right, maybe bringing pride to her family, bringing pride to women. That's a good job. I like that. At 2:30, the stadium filled with people. Jackie's stomach twisted. She watched as her teammates took the field. Clyde Barfoot was the starting pitcher. Eddie Kenna crouched behind home plate. Behind him stood Brick Owens, the famous American League umpire. Play ball. The Yankees batted first. Earl Combs stopped at the plate. He smashed the first pitch deep into the outfield for a double. He ran to second base. Lynn Larry was next. He slapped a single into center field. Earl Combs scored. The Yankees won. Lookouts 0. One man on, nobody out. Babe Ruth was next to bat. Eddie Kenna pulled off his mask and trotted. We heard that word earlier, right? Trotted means like a horse kind of galloping, not really running at a fast pace, right? Trotted to the mound. Manager Niehoff joined him. He nodded to Jackie. Was she ready? Jackie grabbed her glove and ran onto the field. 4,000 fans cheered from the stands. Their noise was crushing. Manager Niehoff wished her luck. Eddie placed the ball in her glove. She was in charge, he said. She should give Babe her best. Then he trotted back to home plate and put on his mask. Jackie was alone. Her stomach twisted again. Then she remembered her father's words. Go out there and pitch just like you pitch to anyone else. She threw a few warm-up pitches. Her arm felt strong. Jackie spat in her glove. She waved Babe Ruth to the plate. She was ready. Babe tipped his cap. Then he nodded to first base, reminding her of the runner. Jackie glanced at the runner, then looked at Babe. She wound up and pitched. The ball sailed high. Ball one, yelled the umpire. Eddie tossed the ball back to her. Jackie knew what to do. This time she'd throw a curveball. This pitch would curve and drop when it reached the plate. Again, she glanced at the runner. She wound up and pitched. Babe swung. Whoosh! He missed. Strike one, yelled the umpire. The crowd roared. What do you think it means by the crowd roared? Right, they were yelling, they were screaming, they were happy, they were excited, right. Okay. Babe backed away from the plate. He propped his bat up against his leg and wiped his hands. This gave Jackie time to think. She'd give him a fastball shoulder high. No one ever hit that pitch very far. Babe stepped back to the plate. Jackie checked the runner, wound up and pitched. Babe swung. Whoosh! He missed again. Strike two, yelled the umpire. The crowd roared louder. Jackie relaxed. She was throwing the ball over the plate and Babe was hitting nothing but air. She'd have to outguess him on the next pitch. What do you think it means to outguess someone? Think about that. If you need to outguess someone, right, you need to kind of predict what they're going to do, what's going to happen next. Exactly. Just like we kind of, when we're reading books and we're reading stories, we kind of infer what's going to happen next. So we're kind of outguessing the book, trying to figure out what's going to happen next. Good job. He'd be ready for another fastball, close and high, but she'd fire it straight down the alley with all the smoke she could put on it. Babe was ready. The crowd was silent. Jackie checked the runner. She wound up. She pitched. The pitch came in high. Babe stopped his swing, but the ball dropped, cutting right over the heart of the plate. Strike three, yelled the umpire. You're out! Babe slammed down his bat. He hollered at the umpire, but Jackie couldn't hear him. 4,000 fans cheered and roared. She had struck out the mighty Babe Ruth. Babe stooped to pick up his bat. He looked at Jackie and then he looked away. Disgusted, he stomped to the dugout. One down, thought Jackie. Lou Gehrig stepped up to the plate. Like Babe, he was a left-handed batter. Remember, we talked about that in the other book, that he was a left-handed batter. Like Babe, he was a home run hitter. Jackie decided to aim for the inside of the plate. She'd put it in a little above his waist. Most batters had trouble with this pitch. Jackie checked the runner on first. She wound up and pitched. Gehrig swung. Whoosh! Strike one. Whoosh! Strike two. Whoosh! Strike three. 4,000 fans screamed and jumped to their feet. Jackie had faced the Yankees' best hitter, and she had struck them out. The Yankees went on to win 4-14, but the next day, Jackie's words were in the newspaper across the country. I'm glad to have having the pleasure of pitching against Mr. Ruth and Mr. Gehrig, she said. I think they're both fine men and great ball players. I see nothing strange about my striking them out. At least stranger things have happened. Not even the best batters can hit them all. I only tried to do my best, and I'm the happiest girl in the world. No longer did Jackie have to dream. She was becoming a great pitcher. Okay. So that was our book, The Girl Who Struck Out Babe Ruth by Jean L.S. Patrick. And I hope that you learned a lot. Are there any questions that you might have for me? No? Okay, I think you're ready to go on to the writing portion. So write me a little synopsis about what we read. Thank you.